welcome
How you
to
guys
another
doing?
edition. We welcome you. I just want to make sure Facebook, I hope you're there. Instagram, let's make sure Instagram is connected. So give me 1 second so that we are all good. Okay, Instagram going live. I think we are all set. 1 second. Instagram. mm, Instagram is not working, so I want to make sure. Yeah, 1 second. Well, I guess I'll try again. Instagram is not with us yet. Okay. Okay, everyone, welcome to another edition of Talk to Dr. Tiwa. Today we're exploring why men don't talk and how to break the stigma, break the silence. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I am your host, Tiwa Osunfisan. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a mindset strategist, an author, a speaker, and who is passionate about providing and ensuring sustained peak mental transformation, peak mental performance in healthcare and highly skilled professionals. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, with me, I have a full panel with me. I'm going to bring them on now and I would introduce them, but it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have them with me today. Um, trying to let's see. Technology is a love-hate relationship, so I want to make sure everyone is here. I'm trying to bring you all. Let's see. Pardon us. Okay, and everyone is here. I'm going to try Instagram one more time. Instagram is not connecting. Um, okay. Well, we may not be able to stream on Instagram today. So if you're on Facebook, please head to Facebook and you'll be able to see us. So, welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, doctors. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm going to, maybe before I read your bio, no, actually, let me read your bio. I'm getting too excited. So let me read your bio. So our first speaker is Dr. Oyewale Oyebanji. He's a mentor and clinician with a passion for men's emotional health, healing. Dr. Wale brings cultural insight and lived wisdom to conversations around strength and silence. Our second speaker is Dr. Efosa Aigbedo is a physician and mental wellness advocate. Dr. Efosa brings a grounded presence and a passion for destigmatizing emotional vulnerability in men. Now I got tongue twisted or tongue tied for a minute. And our third speaker, Dr. Ede Omokudo, a medical doctor and narrative consultant with over 15 years of experience. Dr. Ede blends wellness, storytelling, and lived experience as a father and creative. Welcome, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you. Um, I know we met years ago, and now we are reuniting, and it's so great that you are here to contribute and share your personal experiences and values. So I'm looking forward to a robust discussion today. So I'm going to ask you several questions. And so if you want to take it, chime in and may direct a question, directly at a speaker. Otherwise, feel free to chime in and let's make it a great one for everyone. All right. So with that, I don't know if you have anything to just say. Being here, welcome.
Thanks, Tiwa. I think this is great. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a delightful pleasure to be here with my friends and my brothers and yourself as well. It's been many, many years, a couple of decades coming in. So, and I think this is a really important topic. We're in June still, and it's still the men's health month, right? So I think it's the right time to have conversations like this and just being able to kind of share experiences. I know you say you'll be directing questions. Just remember that we're no longer in medical school, so we're just keeping it very chill and having a good time, so that you don't even start the mental issues from here.
Okay.
Well,
Noted.
that's to
That
solve for.
that is noted.
All right, all good, all good, all
Noted.
good.
Yeah, but it's great having you. So thank you for joining us. Okay, Dr. Fosa,
Dr. Tiwa.
welcome.
Very nice to see you. Very nice to see you guys. It's been a very, very long time. Uh, I know, I mean, we talk on the phone, but we really, really haven't been on the same, platform or speaking space like this. It's really nice we're reconnecting in a month like this, discussing a very important topic. And yeah, I applaud you, hosting this platform, making sure that our voices are heard. you know yeah, that's a very wonderful feat, and I'm very happy to be part of the conversation. So yeah, talk soon.
Welcome. It's great to have you. Dr. Ede, welcome.
Hey, Dr. Tiwa or Tiwa, T for Tiwa, as we say, right? Yes, thank you so much for the privilege of being able to speak with and also share the platform that you've so meticulously built. It's been a long time coming, but Warren Buffett says something along the lines of some things just take time. You know how they say you can't get a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant, right? Again, some things take time. And I believe it's
I hope
something
so.
that is it we had to have had the lived experience, in order to be able to share. If this had happened maybe a couple of years ago, say 10 years ago, or whatever, that lived experience of being a father, of being in a position of authority, we would have been too inexperienced for that. So this, I think, it's timely. Again, my friends and my brothers have just said earlier about it being the month, but also I think in time itself, this is about the right time where we've had that experience as fathers, and again we've grown in capacity and competence. So thank you again for the privilege of being able to speak on this platform. It's great to be with you guys again.
I'm glad. Yes, you were right. And with that, we will get started. And like you said, if we spoke, if this happened years ago, it may not have been relevant. You may not have been able to contribute authenticity. You may not have been able to provide. It may have just been a head knowledge rather than a, like you said, lived experience. So with that, I'm just going to start by saying or asking, what does mental health mean to you personally? Why is this a big deal for you? Why are you passionate about this? I got tongue tied when I was saying this destigmatizing. And so why are you all passionate about this? Especially, just beyond being a doctor, like you were saying. So maybe start from you, Dr. Ede, you being the last speaker, what would you say? Why is this a big deal? Why are you passionate about mental health, especially men's mental health? Why are you passionate about
Okay, so um Dr. T, I'm going to ask, I know obviously we have a very broad international audience, but are we allowed to throw in a bit of, pigeons, just some sort of your, maybe what's the
Probably
body,
not, because if you're going to throw
just
it, you
to,
probably
no,
want to translate it.
I would explain. What I mean is,
Exactly. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yes.
exactly. So, there's a Yoruba proverb, or is a saying actually that says, "Okunu nothing betita,"
Hmm.
right? If you don't have, if you're not filled within, if you don't have the quality from within, you can't give what you don't have.
Correct.
See,
Yeah.
so wellness as a holistic, if you're going to look at a holistic appreciation of wellness, it's not just about the mental space, it's about the entire being. However, this is where most of the thinking is done. This is where most of the planning is done. This is where most of the perception of our reality is done. And so, if we are not sound mentally, then it affects everything. It affects our relationships, it affects our productivity, it affects every aspect of our lives. And so, if we are well from that aspect, then I believe it's something that can, transpire into other things. So that mental wellness for me is, especially with regards to men, I'm passionate for wellness for everyone, but for men, being in the position of scrutiny, I don't want to say authority, it's scrutiny that we currently are in the world, right? We need to have a very firm base in order to be able to interact with people in the world and everything that surrounds us. So I'm very passionate about equipping men, especially in the world of today where things are, expectations have changed or shifted a bit more tougher. And yeah, so that's pretty
Okay.
much where it is for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Fosa, why is this a big deal for you? Why are you passionate about advocating for mental health, advocating for men's health? Why is that for you?
Well, for me, it's if you think about it in the broad scheme of things, mental health is how we experience life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's you really can't function without your mental capacity, right? So how you love, how you parent, how
Mm.
you work, how you simply exist, it's all mental health that controls how you really, interact, experience, and just live life. There is a science to it, but I think it goes deeper than the science. It's basically our entire being and how we interpret that to our environment, to other people. To me, I see it as the difference between surviving and actually living. It's sometimes it's a thin line, sometimes it's a
Mm,
broad definition, but
mm,
yeah, I think it's a conversation that really needs to be had. But yeah, that's what mental health means to me, and why it's really important for men is because men are the leaders, right? And they're the leaders of the family unit. The family unit is the smallest level of government, right? So how men lead is really important. We have to be in a very healthy mental capacity, in a very stable mental space to lead properly, to ensure that we're passing the right emotional training and support right to the kids, so that way it goes from your kids to the next person's kids, and then to the whole community as well. So I think that's why mental health is a very important topic and discussion, especially at this time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fosa. Yeah. I like that you're echoing, just emphasizing it, the benefits, the reason. So I'll let Dr. Wiley add to that too. Why mental health, Dr. Wiley? Why men's mental? Why are you here? Pretty much. Why do you want to shed more light to this topic?
But I think at the end they did justice to that. And in talking about it, they brought about a great point that you can't give what you don't have, right? And
Yeah.
it's important that you feel mentally stable to be able to maximize your potential as a man, right? And if you talk about mental health, it encompasses the whole the emotional well-being, the psychological component, the social component, right? So, and if you think about, how men cope with a lot of life stress, if also talked about men as leaders, I think that's part of how society puts pressure on men. And then inadvertently, what then happens is that there are a lot of things that you have to think about. There are a lot of things you have to carry through as a man. And then because our society also does not encourage men to speak up, right, or seek help, so they carry all these things through, and they result in a lot of negative health outcomes, right? So we then start talking about suicide, we start talking about depression, we start talking about even physical health challenges as well. That is a resultant effect of some of those things, right? And so I think that's why it's critical that as men that we, talk to ourselves about these issues as well, and separate ourselves from those societal and cultural pressures and norms, and just start thinking about creating a safe space for men to be able to speak up, for men to be able to share with each other, and just be vulnerable, right? And again, not feel pressured, based on certain things to meet certain, standards and all of that. That also kind of has a resultant effect on their health and a lot of challenges on their life outcomes too.
Okay. Um, I appreciate the perspective the three of you have shared so far, which is really why we're here, where we want to, encourage that man listening to us. We want to encourage that woman that has a man in her life, to know what to do and how to help that man when he's struggling. So, my first question would be, you know, you went through, you were born, raised in Nigeria, but now in different parts of the world. Comparing experiences in your medical journey, what have you noticed? Have you noticed that maybe even the healthcare, the culture, the three of you mentioned the culture. What would you say is why that? Why is culture shaping that? Why is the health system, maybe healthcare system you walked in? Why? What have been your observations so far? Like why? Beyond, is it just culture? Is it just so? What is your understanding of the root cause why men are not encouraged to speak, or even if that man speaks, is sees speaking as a weakness rather than courage or vulnerability? What have you noticed? So, Dr. Wally, you've been the last speaker. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, no, I think that the vulnerability has been rooted in fear, right? And that is the fear of being looked down as a failure, right? Fear of being hurt, fear of being ridiculed, the fear of being laughed at, fear of being mocked at, right? And so oftentimes the society expects that you need to man up in a lot of issues and in a lot of instances, right? And so they equate, that manliness and masculinity to not being the one to seek for help, but the one to help others. And so a lot of times that doesn't encourage, a lot of men to actively be the one to go out there and say, hey, I need help with this. I need to check this. I need to a lot, and if folks can bear me witness, a lot of times with health missions, right? You go to a particular community and you're trying to do preventive health screening. 90% of people that will be there are women, right? The men feel like they need to be the one working and taking care of families, or they don't need to be there, right? And why do I need it? I'm still good. I need to do all of that. But at the end of the day, you look at the mortality rate for men, right? And the outcomes in general, the ones will be at the worst hit. So again, speaks to the resultant effect into some of this as well. And then from a healthcare perspective as well, that you talked about, there are usually other factors, right? There's the clinician bias. Patient comes in as a man, makes certain complaints and all of that. There's certain things that they be like, oh, you're a man, you should be able to. Certain symptoms that are atypical that a man can talk about, but you would just, it could be clinical signs, it could be signs of depression, but because it's not regularly part of the clear clinical signs of it, you can mask it off and miss that, at the end of the day, except that we're trained to be able to kind of decipher and be able to better understand some of those challenges. So again, it kind of weaves into health systems, weaves into cultural and societal norms that, present some of these challenges for men.
I appreciate you sharing that. So I'm going to go to FA, Dr. Efosa. I'm going to say, with your observation, professionally, personally, socially, what would you say, or how have you personally navigated, or how do you still navigate through, both, what your own personal journey? How have you overcome? So we've all established there is the social cultural limitation, social cultural expectation. How have you personally navigated through that? How have you handled that to still be able to maintain your own wellness, Dr. Efosa? What would you say?
Well, personally, I feel like everyone needs a support system in every way or form, right? sometimes it's difficult to express yourself as a man. Sometimes people think, oh well, you have a partner, you're married, you should be able to communicate to your partner. But in multiple situations, the problems that or the stressors that cause mental health issues to men are closer to home than we think. So it's difficult for men to find that safe space, even in their own safe space. And having to discuss those issues with external parties is something that could almost be seen as forbidden because you don't want people to have perception of weakness or think you don't have the ability to maintain family stress or and professional or corporate stress at the same time. So personally for me, I'm not someone that discusses my issues or problems, but I know the importance to. I've had therapy sessions, um, which have also been helpful in some, situations and some part of my, personal life. I also have some friends that, I could also speak to, be vulnerable with, express my concerns. But even at that, I'm not fully comfortable or I don't
Yeah.
fully trust, that they will take that information seriously because, boys will be boys sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
express concerns and they might just be like, man, bro, like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, forget about that. Not really knowing it's coming from a deep place.
Yeah.
So I believe seeking professional help is very important. And that's something that I've also included in my own, mental health journey.
Thank you so much for the vulnerability. Thank you for sharing. You know, we're building the reasons, the limitation, the system. This is the way the system. This is the way it's built. This is the way the culture is. But we have to navigate around it, which I like. I like the way you shared that. While you're perceived as weak, if you speak up, you're perceived as weak, even by another man. That's like, hey, just suck it up. Just this is how we roll. From what you're saying, you'll be fine. And at times, it dismisses your concern. It dismisses that cry for help. You may not literally cry, but you just speaking up. I hear you. You just seem almost that once you get shut down, that's it. You may not even
Yeah.
be able to push further where it's best to get professional help. So I like that you're emphasizing just at least start there, like you said, or maybe like even what Dr. Wiley said. There are women were everywhere. So whether is the health screening seminar, we're there. It's church, how to improve your marriage, we're there. How to improve relationship, we're there. How to feel better, we're there. Not that is we still don't struggle as women, because it's still there's still human factors where the way you're perceived. But I hear what you're saying of professionally, at least you found a trusted ear, you found trusted space. And now, maybe my next question, subsequently, would then be how can we build that space? You were saying something, how can we even build that space? Okay, professional space is good, but how can we build it even in communities? We would explore that. So, Dr. Ede, um, culturally, men are trained and wired to always be strong and not show any crack of vulnerability. What do you think about this philosophy? And how has it shaped how you see yourself?
Thank you so much. Again, it's I love the fact that the entire our exploration so far is quite organic, where the different sort of thoughts of knowing what you stand for, and also understanding present your station and your present limitations,
Yeah.
right? If you understand your present limitations, you would know what you have, or you have a thorough appraisal of what it is you would have to build in terms of capacity. And I like to think of capacity as like a hall. Think of it as a hall, an events hall. How many chairs are there, right? That's your capacity. How many people can you sit? How many nuggets of knowledge? How many nuggets of things can you sit in your mind, in your being, as it were? And then the wisdom is basically how do you move those nuggets all around in order to create meaning
Yeah.
that you can offer to other people. So a sense of self, and through a thorough sense of self-awareness, is where I think we can begin. For anyone listening, is just to really know, what are my values, what are the things that I have come to espouse and say, okay, these are as whole as truths, or at least truisms, so to speak. So that's the first step, I would say. And then second is to open our minds to being lifelong learners. We, again, different experiences, because that, again, it helps us to be exposed to certain things. As they say, mankind, or a great man is a function of his exposure. So what are you exposing yourself to? If you expose yourself to violent things, you become that. You become that. And again, in typically in psychiatry, what it means in terms of when it comes to becoming, in
Yeah.
terms of our framework. So becoming basically entails being something different that is sort of like an irreversible step. So for example, say someone loses a limb, right? They've become, handicapped or disabled. They cannot unbecome that. So it's a permanent change, as it were. So before we become that, which is going to happen to us, or we're going to pass along to the next generation, what are the things that make us that have that value? And so I'll just leave us with Henry Ford says, if you find a people who are diligent in what they've done, or experts in what they've done, you will find a hard beating path to their doorstep. People will be attracted to it. It's something else they said in Field of Dreams. You've seen that movie. He said, if you build it, they will come. So when you build the capacity, you build that thing. They're going to be human beings. We recognize value. It's innate in the species. So when we see that, that's when we can also just practice that sense of self, know where you are, understand your cultural appreciations, understand what it is that grounds you in offering true value, and encourage a sense of self-worth in the next generation, and you realize that you're going to have a positive effect. And the reason why I say it this way, because it's not as didactic or heavy-handed in my approach, because at the end of the day, everyone's narrative is different. We're all the heroes of our own story, right? And so when you just give broad strokes, then you leave enough room for them to explore and also express and write their own narratives. So that's pretty much where I would say.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, you've shared great nuggets already, which is self-awareness, and you can't. I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe. Self-awareness is one of the best gift you can give yourself, and you can give the society, because you can't fix what you don't know. You can't change what you don't know. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, that you have to start there. What do you have and what don't you have? What is the gap? What is, what is the SWOT analysis? What do you have right now? And then you begin to plan about, like you were saying, build the arc, and people will come, build the value, create that space, and people will step into it. And that's what I hear you say. And that's great, that pass and being aware of the generational differences, generational meaning, understanding where you're at before taking anybody to where they should be. So thanks for sharing. So I'll go on to Dr. Efosa. At When it comes to workplace, everywhere, what if there's somebody listening to us today that is like, you know what, this stigma thing, I keep hearing it. In fact, June, all I've been hearing is men's mental health awareness. I don't know where I can start from. What would you say? Like you rightly said, support is critical. What can that look like to someone that goes to work, that cannot speak, that is suffering in silence, that maybe even thinking of suicidal thoughts, and as that is thinking of suicide rather, and really just like, I will get shut down, I will get ridiculed. What would you tell that man, and what would you tell the workplace, if there's a workplace director listening to us, right? Like, you know what, I really want to create that space. He mentioned support. What would you suggest are the intentional, the practical things to do?
Yeah, and it's good you raise that point because at the end of the day, corporates or our work life, that's what it is. It is our work life, right?
Yeah.
Our personal life and our work life, I shouldn't say should balance, but should have some form of synergy, right? Like a
Yes.
work life synergy.
Yes. Integration. Yes.
So in the same way, you should have that mental balance both in the workplace and in your own personal life,
Mm.
right? And
Yes.
if you look at it, a lot of organizations are now very intentional about making mental health access available for employees,
Yeah.
especially focusing on mental health for men because it's been a space that has almost been lacking for a while. So now a lot is being done to catch up, right? I've been a beneficiary of some really good mental health programs at my organization, and that has also translated into my personal life and how I relate to
Yeah.
my family, how I relate to my kids. Growing up, you almost tuned to feel like the more stress you can endure is the more masculine you are, right? But
Exactly. Yes.
I'm not trying to raise my kid that way. I'm trying to raise my kids to know, listen,
Right.
yes, there's a difference between resilience and just outright killing yourself. If you're
Yeah.
drowning, if you need help, speak up. Part of our
Exactly.
daily conversations is always, is there anything you want to tell me? Right? You could speak to me in any way or form, anytime. And he knows that. In fact, sometimes his mom is always like, there's nothing you can hide from the dad because anything you say in his presence, he always goes to speak to his dad. That's creating that safe space, to allow,
Exactly.
kids to flourish in that emotional stability. And I think
Mhm.
that's also should be applicable in the workspace, right? Sometimes in the workspace, you go into meetings or conversations, and first you get a feeling of you not, of not, you shouldn't be in the room in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Then when
Yeah.
it's time to contribute or make your own, suggestions or feedback, you also feel, the team is not receptive, to your own points of views. So organizations should also create that safe space for contribution, safe space for collaboration. And as they have been intentional about, support um, for men's mental health, I think this is not the time to relent on that. This is the time to, to double down and make that more accessible to more people.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Efisa, for saying that. Yeah. I like what you said about that work life integration. There should not be that much of a gap because we half of more than half
is the mileage of a kind word. It goes so far. Just saying something nice to someone. And again, corporate is sad because the way the world is, and this is there's a popular saying that said, "Don't be so open-minded to the point that your brains fall out." Right? Everyone is trying to be so open-minded now. So it's just whatever. And when you have that, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing at all.
Yeah.
Right? What are your values? What are the things you offer? Where are the limits? It stops, right? Because when you're trying to be so open-minded, at the end of the day, it's chaos. So what are the signposts or for it? So find your tribe. That's the next one I'll say. Find your tribe. If you're someone who is faith-based, seek a faith-based outlet. It's one of the things that really helps. One of the things about faith, it tends to ground people. It's very crucial for self-identification, for knowing who you are, especially in any faith you are. You find what did the men do, the patriarchs? How did they go through things, right? David himself, that who's taking this example from the Bible, David went through stuff like depression. Even Jesus went through something like depression, right? He went back. This is supposed to be the Messiah. He came as the Messiah, and he still went and cried and showed some sort of vulnerability, and he bled, and to the point that he actually sweat blood. Hematidrosis was called, right? That's how depressed he was. Crushing fear, right? So find your tribe, seek help. Men, we have a very poor help seeking behavior. It's again rooted in what? Stories, rooted in narratives. How do we always tell ourselves? There are a few other things I wanted to add from the previous questions that my brothers carefully said. We are now in, and this is where I'm also trying. I'm going a bit contrarian to the skew. Again, not necessarily contrarian to the mindset, but a bit to the way the conversation was going, where it's okay to cry, it's okay to do that. Yes, true.